Good afternoon. I'm Taylor-Memmory, an Associate Director at PwC in our Technology, Media and Telecommunications division. I'm joined by two very special guests today. First off, we have Charles Stuart, a partner at PwC. Charles is part of our PwC Global Entertainment and Media Outlook editorial board. Charles is also PwC's Africa and Entertainment Media Lead, and he is also the head of our Marketing and Media Review Services team. Welcome, Charles.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us, Carl.
Thank you. We are also joined today by Kim Rajcoomar, who is a manager in the Marketing and Media Review Services team. Kim is also a marketing and digital advertising specialist with experience across both agency life and B2B corporate world. Kim, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, Kyle. Glad to be here. Looking forward to our conversation.
Let's get right into it, Charles and Kim. So today we'd like to discuss the ever-changing landscape, potential pitfalls in paid media, and how we at PwC can help mitigate some of those inefficiencies. As we all know, when COVID-19 hit the globe in 2020, it accelerated digital transformation and it changed the advertising landscape entirely. Charles, maybe first question to you. What are some of those key changes that you've seen in the current traditional media landscape?
Carl, thanks for the question. And it's one of those things that I think constantly develops, right? We have a very rapidly changing environment within the entertainment and media outlook. Our theme for this year's outlook is value in motion. And I think that sums it up very well because the industry is constantly in motion. There are a couple of standout trends to your question that are really sort of shaping the conversation. One of the big ones is around the growing importance of your advertising spend within the market. So we saw globally advertising spend overtaking consumer spend for the first time in 2023, 2024. And it is continuing to grow much faster than your traditional consumer spend has historically. And that's as people continue to shift towards your digital platforms and towards your digital content consumption. So here we're talking about over-the-top media, your streaming, etc. Another one of the shifts that we're seeing is in the space of AI. Now, AI is obviously a very hot topic at the moment. And in the space of AI, it's really in those segments that are going to be content heavy that it's probably having the most transformative impact. So here we're talking about the production of content around movies, music, other sort of streaming video type content. And it's because it has the ability to really be able to do that much faster and at a fraction of the cost. So it's starting to potentially change some of the business models and the way that people interact and actually create that content. Whilst the digital trend continues very strongly, and we've seen this digital migration for a number of years, what we are seeing on the other hand is that we're seeing a number of traditional segments that are continuing to, let's say, stand their ground. We've seen good resilience in the live entertainment space. So cinema took a little bit longer to recover, but it has shown good resilience in terms of actually continuing to recover. Live music rebounded much faster. And we only have to look at recent sort of sellout events like we saw with a major R&B star at FNB Stadium here in Johannesburg with sellout performances, record crowds. And so there's that enduring appeal of being in that community type consumption of content, right? We are inherently social beings and we like to experience that entertainment and media together. Traditional TV still continues to command substantial spend. And we've seen a bumper year, obviously 2024, when we saw it particularly fueled by the elections. But then we also have the live sport that people continue to want to watch live, again, in that community type setting. So TV remains a vital source of spend, but also a vital source of information, particularly in those markets where, internet connectivity may be a bit more limited. One of the segments we often speak about as well is virtual reality. Now, from a spend perspective, it's a lot smaller, much smaller than your traditional TV, your internet advertising, etc. But it is one of those that is also sort of facing constant development. We are seeing a trend in that space towards sort of untethered or standalone virtual reality sets. And then we're seeing companies like Meta who are sort of moving more into that sort of mixed reality space. We continue to watch the space because it hasn't necessarily taken off as quickly as we thought it might have in the past. One of the biggest sort of barriers to entry is around the cost, particularly of the hardware. And so I think we are still continuing to see and watch closely as that affordable price point, introduces real scale into the market. On the other side of the digital spend, we have good old print. We continue to see, obviously, with the shift digitally that I spoke about earlier, we continue to see your traditional sort of print and newspapers, consumer magazines being under pressure. And so we are not seeing, real sort of growth in those areas. The digital elements within those, yes. But then you've got something like books. I remember we had a video a few years ago where somebody said, I love the smell of a new book. And I think there is something about that, opening a new book. And so particularly print in the book space continues to hold its ground.
Fantastic, Charles. It's really good to see that the traditional media still has a place in our ecosystem. And it's great to see that live entertainment is making a really strong comeback. But at the same time, the digital space continues to evolve and change at a rapid pace. And there's a lot of momentum building in that space. Kim, maybe, to pose the question to you, from your perspective, what are some of these key trends you're seeing in the digital advertising landscape right now? And how are brands adapting to the fast-changing environment?
Thanks, Kyle. The digital advertising space has seen some incredible momentum over the past few years. From 2020 to 2025, revenue growth in digital advertising has nearly tripled, which really shows how quickly the market is evolving. We're seeing strong growth in display and video formats as advertisers look for more impactful ways to cut through the noise and connect with audiences. Social media continues to play a huge role, and according to research from GWI, about 78% of South Africans' internet users aged 16 to 64 use social media platforms to research brands. That makes social media a key part of the customer's journey. TikTok, we've seen impressive year-on-year growth, is really becoming a platform for consumers and brands thanks to the short-form video content and engagement we've seen on the platform. While digital advertising is booming, not all areas are growing at the same pace. Paid search, for example, is seeing slower growth compared to other platforms, but retail search has really taken off, especially with sponsored product listings, which appear first before search ads on search engines. It's becoming a cost-effective way for brands to reach both local and global audiences. Retail media is proving to be a smart strategy, especially when it comes to measuring return on ad spend. With more detailed demographic and targeting data now available, advertisers can build full funnel marketing solutions that are more precise and impactful. We've also seen connected TV or CTV. It's another space that's evolving quickly. Advertising outcomes are more defined than ever, and we see less competition and more collaboration, like YouTube integrating with CTV platforms. It's a space that's expected to keep growing. Podcast advertising is also gaining traction, though it's still relatively small compared to other channels. Some publishers are going private, while others are expanding into digital and CTV, which shows how fluid the media landscape is becoming. And then there's digital out-of-home advertising, which has grown significantly thanks to programmatic buying. It's now much easier to integrate into broader omnichannel campaigns, making it a powerful tool for reaching audiences in real-world spaces. And as Charles mentioned earlier, AI is playing a transformative role across the board. In digital advertising in particular, it's being used to design creatives, write compelling copy, and even optimize campaigns in real time. Platforms like The Trade Desk have built-in AI, such as Koa, that helps advertisers automatically optimize campaigns for better results.
Fantastic, Kim. Wow. Absolutely tremendous growth and change in this digital ad space. Some really incredible growth numbers that you've shared with us there. And I'm glad to see that publishers are now collaborating and breaking down those garden walls and making the industry less competitive. It's also good to see AI working with us and not against us for a change. Now, Kim, knowing that the advertising landscape continues to grow and to develop, what does this mean for advertisers and people or companies investing in paid media?
As the advertising landscape grows, there's increased competition among advertisers and bidders, meaning higher costs and leads, making it crucial for advertisers to optimize strategies and maintain cost effectiveness. This isn't always done consistently across high volumes of campaigns, and since platforms are diverse and channels target various age groups, choosing the correct channel is crucial to ensure maximum engagement and ROI. And given how crowded ad space can be, effective, innovative, and compelling creatives are key, and one must consider bid capping to avoid spamming users. We need to remember that opportunists are constantly in the digital advertising space with bots, ad fraud, fraudulent, and unsafe inventory. One has to ensure brand safety parameters and tools are in place, and these are just some examples of key considerations for advertisers.
Thank you, Kim. You've obviously done some work in this space, and I think what will be helpful is if you can share some of those common issues of concern that you've seen on paid campaigns and how that's hindered our advertisers from getting the best bang for their buck.
There are several common issues in paid campaigns preventing advertisers from achieving optimal ROI. A popular example is incorrect or poor targeting. As we've touched on earlier, with so many channels and such a wide range of audiences, it's more important than ever to clearly define what you're trying to reach. If that's not done well, it can lead to wasted ad spend and missed opportunities. And it's not just about targeting. Budget management plays a big role too. Without a well thought out strategy, campaigns can underperform simply because resources aren't being allocated effectively. And another common issue we've seen is that demographics stated on media plans are not uh, targeted correctly on platform settings. And this causes misalignment and media wastage on incorrect audiences. We also see that KPIs are often either not stated upfront or campaign results are not achieved in alignment to those KPIs. And another factor that we also mentioned earlier was optimizations. More often than not, benchmarks are deliberately set low, knowing the advertiser will hit the benchmark easily, so there's no need for optimizations. But optimizing campaigns should be a priority in campaign management to ensure benchmarks are exceeded and maximum ROI is always achieved. And finally, beyond strategy and spend, there's a critical issue of brand safety that we alluded to earlier. Making sure brands are placed in the right environments and that targeting parameters are properly set is essential, not just for the campaign performance, but to protect the actual brand reputation. It's especially important when you consider how much time the younger audiences are spending on digital platforms. Kids today are constantly connected, and that means advertisers need to be extra mindful and where how their content shows up and where it shows up. For example, having an alcoholic beverage ad appear on a children's YouTube channel is a brand safety risk, and it causes media wastage. We've also seen instances of ads landing on unsafe brand inventory, such as political or violent channels, or on fraudulent inventory. In the age of cancel culture, it only takes one person to pick up a misplaced ad and go viral with a social media complaint, ruining a brand's reputation.
Thank you, Kim. You've obviously shared some good tips on how campaigns should be managed effectively. When it comes to assessing or the delivery of campaigns and the effectiveness of those deliveries, what are some of the key guidelines that should be considered?
To ensure the success and efficiencies of your paid campaigns, it's essential to reflect on several key factors. And these are clear objectives and KPIs. Did these align to your business objectives? Did your campaigns deliver against these KPIs? Another one is accurate targeting. Is your agency or in-house team bidding for the right audience in the right context at the right time? The third is budget utilization. Was the budget for your campaigns fully utilized effectively? Another one is optimizations that we mentioned, where improvements made throughout the campaign duration. We also mentioned audience reach earlier. Did your intended audience see the ads? Were your ads seen by humans or were they seen by bots? And lastly, that we also mentioned was ad safety. Were your ads shown on safe inventory throughout the duration of the campaign?
Fantastic. Thank you, Kim. A lot of good questions that businesses should be asking themselves to make sure that their paid media campaigns are not just running, but running effectively and optimally. Charles, now to bring it back to PwC, how can we help our clients navigate some of these complexities and ensuring that their campaigns are indeed being delivered appropriately? What kind of support and services do we offer our clients in this space?
That's a great question, Carl. So on the traditional media side, we have what we call financial contract reviews and media performance reviews. So within any agency contract, there are essentially key financial and commercial terms. And these reviews really assess the agency's delivery against those commitments. So looking at things like agency remuneration, unbilled media, annual volume rebates, compliance with payment terms. So various aspects that the agency needs to be delivering to you and their commitments in this regard, and have they actually achieved those? An important other aspect in there is around what we call media market inflation. So people are always asking, well, am I getting a good price, right? So when we evaluate this media market inflation, that's more on the media performance side of things, we follow a sort of whole of market approach. And so we draw on insights from our entertainment and media outlook that you mentioned earlier, and what we're seeing in terms of the trends, in that. But we also then calculate media inflation and adjust spend based on audience and industry dynamics in each of the markets. And to strengthen our approach, we also look at benchmarks coming from, standards like the World Federation of Advertisers, amongst others. And so this gives the advertiser some insight as to, I've entered a contract, the agency's committed to certain things, how are they delivering relative to those commitments?
Super, Charles. And I mean, this sounds like quite a niche offering. Who are some of the key clients that can benefit from these offerings?
Well, typically in terms of our services, Kyle, we would probably look at clients that have an ad spend of sort of 20 million Rand and above. That being said, if there are smaller clients, we are happy to sort of scale back the offerings that we do have, that we can obviously work with them. And typically the people that we are working with the clients would be your CMOs, your chief marketing officers, and your CFOs. People have insight into the complexities of the advertising world, but also the nuances associated with the finances thereof.
One of the key things you've mentioned now, Charles, is around budget. And in this economic environment, budget is obviously top of mind for most organizations. How do you go about tailoring the service offering to meet the client's budgetary restraints?
It's a good question, right? Economics are realities, right? We essentially have three pricing options, right? One, people who've been down this road and have engaged with us before, they're happy with their fixed price, scope, etc. But what we've seen with some of these economic pressures that you are speaking about, we've introduced two new pricing models. The first is what we call the phased approach, and the second, the gain share approach. Now, both of these are really focused on demonstrating value, and that's what drives the price. On the phased approach, we will do an initial review, which really looks to demonstrate and to unlock some of that value and to demonstrate the inefficiencies. Once we've been able to demonstrate that, we move on to a more comprehensive second phase approach, which then obviously undertakes a more detailed deep dive into all the various aspects to continue to unlock further value. On the gain share side, as the name suggests, as we unlock those inefficiencies and that value, so we share in the benefits that have been unlocked. Obviously, with the lion's share, the majority obviously finding its way back to the advertiser. The benefit of these, obviously little to no initial investment, and as the value is demonstrated, so we obviously obtain our fee for the work performed.
And can you elaborate on how fees can be driven by value?
Well, we can certainly attest, right? Kim obviously sitting here as a digital review expert, and certainly from all the reviews that have been done in the past, we know that those reviews identify and unlock this value, right? Whether it's unbilled media, whether it's annual volume rebates that haven't been returned to the advertiser, etc. In the digital space, it's a case that we know that 30 to 90% of impressions are not fully delivered, right? So we know that these inefficiencies exist. So as we then deliver these services and we are able to identify these inefficiencies, that is the value that is delivered and that drives the fee that we charge.
And typically when people hear PwC, they think of such services as audit, tax, advisory, etc. So how does your team ensure that a marketing function such as paid media is reviewed accurately?
So certainly assurance is in our DNA, right? And I think that's what gives us the strength of the offering that we have. There are many other media auditors out there. But what we offer is we bring that assurance DNA, which is that professional skepticism, that robust professional standards that we adhere to, and a really detailed approach to reviewing these. But we combine that with our media expertise, right? So within my team, and I know you're on the other side of the mic today, but we'll get to you in just a moment. But Kim brings with her 11 plus years of experience, both on the agency side, but also then from a PwC side, right? And vast experience in terms of delivering, numerous digital process reviews. Shahista Lombardo, another manager within our team, coming from an assurance background, has experience in the financial contract review and media performance side, and also experience in terms of contributing to our entertainment and media outlook. So understands the nuances and the trends happening within the overall sort of entertainment and media space. And then yourself, obviously, background of various agency audits, risk management, again, an assurance professional as well, brings that robust and rigor to the process. So collectively, as a team, we really have a 3+ decades of experience in terms of bringing the best of assurance and media expertise together. Having done this, for global companies and consumers who are obviously have a global focus, and that's really, the benefit and the value that we bring to our clients.
Fantastic, Charles. The team definitely sounds very strong, very capable, and it is clear that we are able to help our clients in this space with optimizing their spend and streamlining their campaigns for future fit-for-purpose reasons. How can our online audience get in touch with us?
Well, like with all of these, you'll probably have to point down to the bottom of the post. But there is a form that is linked within this post, and please do fill out the form, share some details with us, and we'll get back to you ASAP.
Super. Charles, Kim, thank you so much for a very insightful conversation today. A lot of knowledge sharing, which I'm sure our online audience will really appreciate. And thank you so much. And to our online audience, enjoy the rest of your day further.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Kyle.